Welcome back to Alone and Unafraid, where we explore the intersections of everyday life, mental health, and mindset with ordinary people who have or are now facing incredible challenges. My name is Thad King, and I'm your host. So yeah, back what were you saying? You were what?
I just wasn't feeling it today. I was just fucking completely checked out with work.
Yeah, I feel like I went in there and this is the best way I can describe this is I feel like there's times when I know what the right thing to do is, and I don't want to be a dick to somebody and tell them, shut the fuck up. This is what needs to happen, but I need to say it in a nicer way. And I don't really know how to say it in a nicer way. So I just get frustrated and don't say anything.
Yeah.
And then 3 years later, I knew that this day would come that I had to fix this problem. And I had like 6 of those in a row today. Of all things that I knew was going to be an issue, and I tried to tell the person that it needed to be fixed, but either they didn't have the brain power or the RAM to understand what I was saying, or I didn't explain it well. So, yeah.
Yeah. It's funny when it comes full circle, because right now I've spent the last 4 or 5 working days rewriting something that took a year essentially to write from concept to finish. And I got so frustrated in the initial concept of that I stopped giving advice or like thinking that I could affect change on it. And then it came around when we were looking at it to edit it. You're reading it and you're like, man, there's too much in this to edit. It's just going to be shorter to start over. And so now I'm rewriting something that took a year or so to get to a point where people stopped caring.
Yeah, that's the worst is you get so bogged down in something that you lose, like you don't care, and you're like, fuck it, I'll just send it, and then some period of time later, then you've got to fix it again.
Yeah, it becomes your eventually it all becomes your problem.
Yeah. I used to have this football coach that always said, do it right, do it light. Like if you do it right the first time, you won't have to do it. And I even in the Army, when I would get like another product or a mission from somebody else that, oh, it's all planned and ready to go, bro. You just got to execute. And then I look at the plan and I'm like, or I would take their word for it. And then I'd get up there and brief it and then just get destroyed. And I'm like, motherfucker.
Well, it becomes your problem then.
Yeah, it becomes your problem. And I just assumed somebody would put the energy, they would match my freak, on that thing. And they just don't.
And that's not me even saying that I know the right way to do it or I know the best way to do it. Because that is never the case, far more often than it is the case, right? But it's just frustrating when it's something that you know, and I don't like go out of my way to badger people into following my belief structures. Like, hey, again, I don't know the best way to do it. I know a way to do it and I know a successful way to do it. There might be other ways out there, but check it out. And then when it's all just completely ignored and I go hands free, I'm like, all right, you guys do whatever it is that you're doing. And then all of a sudden it's like,
and then it's an emergency. Like,
yeah, this needs to go out now.
6 months later, it's an emergency. And
to a point where I was working on it Sunday night a little bit. And I was just kind of like, okay, not like a lot, but enough for me to turn on my fucking work computer and be like, I probably need to move this forward a little bit.
And I think for the military folks that might be listening to this, because we haven't even got to what this episode about. This is just us talking, but I think people need to hear this. Is for the military people that are just getting out, or if you're that guy that comes to work early and stays late, and you're leading the charge, and you're just because that's not who I am. I got news for you, bro. You're gonna die tired, and like there's no, as a civilian, there is no reason to die for your job, to die for a paycheck. I'm withstanding like law enforcement and firemen and that I'm talking, if you work in an office setting or you're there's no reason to compromise your mental health for a paycheck.
And that goes with, like, more specifically to companies where you don't know the dude running it or owning it, or if it's owned by a board, the chances are it's not gonna soothe your soul, and if you're cool working that way, then that's awesome, good for you. I can't get out of bed every day and be like, "I need to make this place more money."
Yeah, and I mean, I started out like that. I was full tilt, regimental. I'm going to flight lead the shit out of this thing and make it better. And you rage against the machine for so long that you just get tired and you realize, it's like that. You see those dudes in formation and they're like, "Can we get a volunteer?" And everybody takes a step back, and you're like the one that didn't take a step back, and so it looks like you volunteered. Remember,
Yeah.
like that old trope from, you know, I don't know, those old movies, but that's what I feel like happens in where we work and corporate America in general. If you come, and again, I'm not saying that you shouldn't have purpose in what you do, because it's really, really important. But when you kill yourself for something trivial that nobody really cares about except for you, you're just killing yourself. You have to figure out a way to put that effort. You do the best you can on the clock, and because that's what the contract is for, or whatever your job description. When you're paid 40 hours of work, show up and give 40 hours of work. Do your best. But at
Don't take it
40,
home.
yeah, 40.001, fade to black. Like I don't know what happened. I don't know where that place is. Where do I work again? And then, show up. And the truth is, I'm horrible at this, and we're probably all horrible at this. I always take it home. But it's a thing. Don't do it.
Oddly enough, it's funny. I found that guitar's been in our family forever. That's how my dad made his money. That's how he still makes his money, is just playing guitar. And I've never like picked it up because I was always in my brain. I was always like, I'm too stupid. I'm too dumb. My fingers are too fat and I'm too silly. So I just never did. But here, probably about a month ago, um, maybe a month, I bought a guitar and I come home from work. And before I do anything else, I sit down for 10 or 15 minutes and learn something that's kind of like technical and takes all your brain space and your dexterity and kind of combines them into a focus. And that's kind of actually helped me clear my brain. Not so much the music side, but just the focus on something that takes the brain and fingers.
That's a good idea. Are you a morning workout? You're a morning worker outer, right?
Yeah, if I go, I've been pretty bad
Yeah.
about that.
See, I'm an afternoon worker outer.
Oh, no
but
way.
I heard from a guy. Hope he's going to come on the show. He was talking about his whole thing is do something hard. It doesn't matter what it is.
Right.
Just do something hard. And that's what keeps you kind of sharp, for lack of a better term.
Well, I also feel like in the corporate setting, they tell you that they expect greatness and large things out of you, but you can look around and you can see that the majority of people are getting by actually not doing anything. And so the day kind of drags on and there's the expectation isn't high and the stakes aren't very like intense. The stakes aren't high either, it doesn't challenge your brain enough, doesn't challenge your body. So you just kind of get extremely bored. And yeah, you can do the mundane tasks, but that's what it is. It's mundane tasks and you just get outrageously fucking bored with it. And that when you do that hard thing, it breeds back some of that, I don't know, inner competitiveness or that edge of like, okay, I'm not good at this, but I see how I can get better and I need to work at it to get better versus like filling out a fucking spreadsheet.
Yeah, there's something to be said for like closing the gap, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So
finding a weakness and working on it.
Yeah. And I got a lot of those. I would love to play guitar, and shout out to Reveille Guitar Project if you're interested, if you're getting out and you want to learn how to build a guitar and then play a guitar, you can contact Ben Channels. He was episode 8, I think. Episode 8. Go back and listen to episode 8. Was it? Yeah, we'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah.
But you can build a guitar and then melt people's faces with it after you.
I signed up.
It's an acoustic guitar. Can you build an electric guitar?
Oh, you probably could. I think it's just an acoustic guitar workshop, and I signed up for it, and we'll see what happens. But I'm pretty excited. I hope it works out.
Yeah, I want you to build a guitar and then
Just shred
tell.
guitar,
Yeah,
play
well, just
naked on the
tell me
beach.
how difficult it is because I'm the kind of guy that would build the guitar and then screw it up and then smash it into a million pieces because it wasn't perfect. And
Well, I always tell myself I'm not a I'm a blunt force instrument. You know, I'm not into fine detail. I always tell myself I can't do fine detail. I can't do fine detail, and I feel like making a guitar requires an intense amount of fine detail that it's going to be extremely frustrating. It's going to play to all my weaknesses essentially. So I'll
well,
be forced to sit there and like deal with my shit while I'm working on fine
well,
detail.
that's what Ben was saying is he would screw up a fine detail and get really frustrated because we come from an organization and a place that demands excellence 24/7, 365. And the guy that was teaching, I think his name is Bob, would just be like, "Hey man, it's just a piece of wood. Just
Get another one.
basically the military version of chill the fuck out."
Hey, bro.
Like it's just a piece of wood, dude. Go get another one, start again. And when you put it like that, you're like, "Oh yeah, it is just a piece of wood." But we probably look at from I look at things from a perspective of time.
Right.
Like I just wasted 30 minutes building this thing and I jacked it up. Now I'm 30 minutes behind. And actually, man, I kind of I just had a random thought how that ties into everything that we kind of grew up doing because everything's time based.
Right.
Whether it needs to be or not, it's a metric, it's a measuring stick to do things well if you do it quickly.
In that
So
specific job, but
yeah, and
most
that's
things in life aren't time driven, right? It's task
yeah, yeah,
or event driven is the other side of that,
yeah,
right?
event driven, yeah. Um, which I think maybe is a kind of a decent segue to get into what we're actually going to talk about today. And if you guys don't know, Tyler is back with us,
Hi.
co-hosting today. So we also work together in our day job. So we both had it was a Monday. So
Yeah.
it's
Through and
definitely
through.
a case of the
Dude,
Mondays.
I slept, and again, to set the tone for the day, I slept through my alarm. Well, I probably shut it off while I was sleeping. So I set it for 4:30, and then I woke up at 6:30, and I was like, did not get to the gym. And
Do
so
you do you do your phone as your alarm, or do you have an alarm
I do my
like
phone
a
as well.
clock?
I can't see myself buying something to replace something I already have.
Yeah, I really want to switch to. I want one of those console alarm clocks from the 80s that I used to
Yeah.
have as a kid. They're, you know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
They're like probably 8 inches and they're kind of like a
Like that
rectangle
wood, that
wood.
plastic wood looking.
Yeah, with the little
Yeah.
Atari kind of,
Yep.
heat vents in there.
Yeah.
And the reason is with the cell phone, I put it on and my brain doesn't shut off. So I'll be asleep and I'll wake up at, we have dogs and our dogs are laying on the floor and we have a 14-year-old dog who has glaucoma and she's blind. And so she sometimes has seizures. So I'm kind of listening for her and she'll bang around and I'll wake up at 2 a.m. And then my brain goes into, there is no escalation of force. It goes straight to whatever task is at hand. And
Chaos.
yeah, and then my phone is right there. So I'll be like, oh, I wanted to see what you know, the the velocity of unladen swallow is, and I'll look it up on my phone. You know what I mean? Because I've got the sum of the world's knowledge, 8 inches from my head.
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck yeah, I'm gonna look it up at 2 a.m. And then what happens is,
Another rabbit hole opens.
yeah, and I'm learning about black holes, and then I'm learning about you know the Battle of Thermopylae and how like
All the
who
important
knows the
shit.
crazy shit. Or this is maybe a me thing, but I have music that plays in my head, like when I'm trying to fall asleep. Whatever song was the last thing I heard or something I've been interested in, I hear the whole song in my head. So I'll wake up at 2 a.m. and it's like, you know, Fine Young Cannibals, you know, or some 80s tune that
Yeah.
I don't dislike it. I just don't need to hear it at 2 a.m.
Yeah. No,
So
no shit. That's
so I
why
was just wondering.
I put my phone across the room. Generally, I do. Last night I didn't. I set it on my nightstand, but I usually like plug in my phone and set it on the floor on the other side of the room. So I can't fuck with it next to my bed. So like when I walk into the bedroom, brush my teeth, do my little thing, my shakedown, uh, I'll plug it in and I'll just go sit in bed. That way I'm not playing with games or looking
Yeah.
shit up. And if people text me, then so bad.
Yeah,
They're too
that's good.
bad.
I've been lately putting my phone on silent mode or sleep mode
Yeah.
but then I worry because I have adult kids, but you never stop being a parent. So I'm like, oh wait, if I'm on sleep mode, they're not gonna, it's not gonna ring, and then I'm gonna miss an important, if they
Well,
had to go to the emergency room or
and I've missed a few phone calls doing that, right? Because you don't have a house phone anymore. The phone isn't just ringing off the hook, and you're like, God damn it, who the fuck? What the fuck? Oh my god, no. But like I've woke up in the morning and checked my phone, and I had a missed call at like 2 o'clock, and it was somebody left a message saying like, Hey man, I need help,
yeah.
right? And you weren't there because your phone was on me. And I think that's I've noticed that as an issue with like a cell phone because I don't want to have it on if I'm just getting random texts throughout the night because that's normal.
Yeah,
You know what I
because we
mean?
know people in multiple time zones that maybe not, or
Yeah.
they're overseas
Or
and
sometimes people just send things when they're thinking about it, but they don't require a response. But if you're getting a
yeah.
phone call at 2 o'clock in the morning, then it's probably a pretty important phone call.
I think if you're on sleep mode, it'll still ring. You just won't get the text.
All the notifications and garbage.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, so obviously Tyler's here again, and we're just having a conversation, and this episode is really about consuming things. And so you've heard of that, you are what you eat, and we all know that saying, and it emphasizes how our diet impacts our physical health. But what if there's something that affects your mental and emotional health? Could it be that all the things that you consume applies just as much to the mind and the spirit as it does to the physical body? So today we're going to deep dive on how those things we consume, whether it's media, social interactions, ideas, TV shows, people, how they profoundly shape our emotional and mental well-being. And we'll explore these kind of through a little bit of psychology, some spirituality. We're not going to get super woo-woo. And maybe we can even talk some quantum physics stuff in here, which, full disclosure, I really know nothing about.
I'm a quantum physicist, by the way.
Yeah.
I've just been hiding as a crew chief.
So when we live in a world that's saturated with digital content, social interactions, and basically things that we consume, and again, like I said before, it could be media, relationships, ideas. They really do impact even how we think. And kind of, I was telling Tyler earlier what brought this to my attention. And on a level, we all know this, and it's not a new thing. We've known for thousands and since humans have been around on the planet. But I was watching this show called From, and it's on MGM Plus. And if you like Lost and you like The Walking Dead, you will love this show. And I couldn't stop watching it. I think it's really well done. It's from the producers that made Lost. There's some plot holes that I'm still trying to wrap my head around, but it's a really good show. And I just got finished with an episode, and I was heading to bed, and I had this feeling of hopelessness. And for a split second, I felt hopeless, and I was like, why the fuck do I feel like this? I had a pretty good day, and there's no reason for me to. And then I was like, shit, I just watched that TV show, and in the TV show, the situation was completely hopeless, and that it transferred into my brain about feeling hopeless. But the other part of my brain was telling me, hey dude, you live in an awesome house and got a great job, and you've got an awesome family and everything's going good. Why are you feeling this way? And for that couple seconds, I was in this weird space where I was trying to understand what was happening. And then it dawned on me. So I grabbed the notebook and kind of started writing the stuff down, and I started writing it out. And I'm not a journaler, but I think I'm gonna be. I think I'm gonna
It's
start
helpful.
because yeah. Do you do the journaling?
I've done it in the past. I'll do it when I'm overwhelmed and I need to get my things out of my head, things that I just generally don't talk about, right? And it gives me a place to organize my thoughts before I either go engage that thought process with somebody else and have a conversation and say like, "Hey, this is what's on my mind." You know what I mean? So I can get all my
Yeah.
ducks in a row. But it helps me or I'll write something down. And I'll be like, "That's completely fucking silly. You're being an idiot." Like, read it and then say it out loud. And when you say it out loud after you read it, you're like, "Yeah, I'm an idiot. Like that's totally wrong."
Yeah.
It helps. It helps me with that.
I've never been super into like handwriting with a pencil or paper. But it really did help when I wrote this idea out. It kind of came to me, and I thought, oh man, this actually could be a podcast. And then I started thinking about some things I had heard in the past, and I just kind of started thinking about. I was kind of asked my wife. I said, "Hey, is it? Do you think it's possible to, you know, have a conversation with somebody, or watch a movie, or listen to a song, and then you feel songs? That happens all the time. You listen to a sad song, you kind of feel sad. If you
Oh
listen
yeah.
to, I challenge you to listen to song number 2 by Blur. If you guys heard that song,
You're dating yourself.
woo-hoo! Yeah, that's old,
Where's our
but
fever?
like,
Woohoo!
yeah, that song, or I don't know what's in right now. That's just a
Probably
really
a young Jeezy or a T Sweezy. I don't know.
yeah. I don't know. Are those real
I haven't.
artists?
We call Taylor Swift T Sweezy.
T Sweezy,
T Sweezy. But that was back in like 2012.
T Swizzle.
T Swizzle, you can
Um,
do that too.
but you listen to those songs. I challenge you to not get a little bit excited. And, if you have a song that you love that's upbeat and you're feeling like shit, put that song on and you will come up a little bit.
Well,
Like it will impact you.
there's definitely energy to things, right? And in the woo woo sense, maybe, but there's things have energy, right? And they can inject energy or they can suck energy out of the surroundings, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's part of the science of this is when somebody, I think we all know this on some level, but we don't really think it's a thing. Is that if I'm in a bad mood and I wrote a song and that song just hits hard, from a play, you can feel the artist's pain or heartbreak when they sing the song or how they wrote it. That transfer of energy, and this is the part that's kind of woo woo, but that transfer, that energy went from that guy's body and head into that song, right? It lived in the vessel of the song, and then you heard it, and then that energy got transferred to you. Good, sad, bad, whatever it is, it came out to you.
I think there's a good example of that too. Was it a few months ago or maybe it was a year ago? I can't remember. But when Oliver Anthony came out with the song, was it Rich Men North of Richmond?
Yeah, yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean? And the whole country at that certain point, by and large, kind of adopted that as their motto, regardless of what happened afterwards. But everyone kind of felt the energy of what he was saying, and whatever he was saying spoke to the fact that people feel kind of hopeless, and there was an energy to that, and there a lot of people tapped into it. And regardless of the music you listened to, when you heard that, it was kind of you're like, oh shit, yeah, he's right,
well,
or
and
he's
that's
onto something.
yeah, and we kind of look at it at the surface and say it's because we all identify with what he was talking about, or you can even hear songs from the 60s, a lot of Rolling Stones songs talking about, anti-war protesting songs. You can hear the frustration in when you listen to those songs, that it gives you a sense of and full disclosure, some people, and I think my wife is one of these people, will hear a song and she just listens to the beat and the rhythm. She never hears the words, you know. and there's a couple songs that come to mind that she's just cranking. And I'm like, do you hear what they're saying? And she's like, no, I don't even know. I'm just listening to the beat. It's such a cool song. And I'm like, no, it's really, you should not blast that. And
In
so
public.
in public and so kind of back to the energy thing, I started thinking about that. And I remember from physics class when I was in high school or something, there's the law of conservation of energy, and that law basically says that energy cannot be created or destroyed; it can only be transferred from one form to another. And it's kind of a fundamental principle in physics. That means when energy seems to disappear, it just simply converted to a different form, like kinetic energy turning to heat. You know, so um, it has to go somewhere. It can't, you can't just dissipate or go, it can't just be eliminated and be destroyed. You know, when you punch somebody in the face, that kinetic energy has to go, it has to go somewhere. In this case, it went into that guy's face.
Right.
So, you there, you, and I think that kind of can probably happen through music or through, you know, my wife is another one of these people that she will take on my emotional state. If I'm frustrated and angry, she gets frustrated and angry. And it's like, I'm like, why are you yelling at me? And she's like, why are you yelling at me? And like, we're both, and I'm like, what? I'm the one that's mad. You got nothing to be mad at. Just be okay with me being mad. She's like, I can't be mad if you're mad because I'm mad that you're mad. And it's, it's a weird thing. So I kind of think with this is just as physical energy transforms, I think there's an emotional component to that, which can be embedded in content. And whether that's a song, a performance, a conversation, and I challenge anybody to go back and, you know, shameless plug for us is go back and listen to the Doug White episode. And I challenge you not to walk away from that. That's episode 10.
Yeah.
I challenge you to listen to that episode and tell me that there wasn't a transference of emotional energy, that you hear Doug's voice and you hear his story, and then you don't walk away from that podcast with kind of like you got kicked in the balls a little bit. And if you're a lady, maybe you got
kicked in the vagina.
What's
they have
equivalent?
vaginas.
Does it hurt when ladies get kicked in the vag?
I've never been kicked in the vagina, so I couldn't answer that. And I wouldn't want to speculate because I feel like that's just unfair.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, though, for men, when you get kicked in the balls, there's a physical pain, and then it shoots up into your stomach. Like
it's long lasting, and
it's a couple 30 minutes.
I'm not gonna say it.
I haven't been kicked in the balls in a long time. Like maybe in like middle school. Like
kids are surprising.
On
purpose. No, I definitely like having a kid. You got to be on guard at any given, especially as they like grow up through the height. Because unsurprising, whatever, it could be a cup, could be a baseball bat, could be them running by, just tag you right in the nuts.
Yeah, or like you can just do the little, you're walking by your buddy and just give him a little whap, you know.
Tap. I don't play those games because I want to be able to be enraged when somebody does that to me. Like I never do it on purpose, so when somebody does it to me, I can go fold them in half.
Yeah,
and then change their perspective on walking down the hallway and slapping dudes in the balls.
You should probably
it's not fun, is it?
You should probably get that checked. Like
I want to be able to hurt you when you do it to me because I don't do it to anybody.
Yeah, well, that's like how all fights start on the schoolyard. Like you're play fighting, and then some dude he just takes it a little too far, and then you just see red, fighting. And and then but then the other guy doesn't know that you're full tilt until he realizes you're full tilt, and then he goes full tilt, and then and I think that's why men can fight and argue and punch each other, and then 20 minutes later be like, okay, it's cool, man.
It's because you transferred that energy.
Yeah. That's pretty good.
Yeah, you're welcome.
It's pretty good. I like that. But I mean, that's a real thing. You transferred the energy, and back to what we were talking about, this application of emotion to energy is, that's why art and music and social media can evoke strong emotional responses. And there's this concept called emotional contagion. Have you ever heard of that?
I haven't.
It's this process which emotions spread from one person to another like a virus. And like I guarantee you've seen that. People have seen this, or uh, you've experienced this at some way. It explains how we can catch emotions from others, from the media we consume. And I don't mean like you catch feelings. I mean, have you seen that on social media? It's like these cats uh, meowing, or
No,
that meow 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 meow,
no,
or that Billie Eilish song. That's
nope.
that's
I don't know any Billie Eilish
it's
songs.
it's like a sad Billie Eilish song,
No.
and it kind of has that. I don't know what it's called, but it's Billie Eilish, and it's like a sad song, and people put those sad songs to social media videos, and you
Right.
feel sad when you watch those.
Well, you can take it even a step further outside of music and just being in groups, right? Like I've been to big outdoor events, whether it's a concert or something else, where it's just kind of like a real exciting vibe, a real chill vibe, where everyone's just kind of like, I hate vibe, blah blah blah. But everyone's feeling good. Everyone's there positively for the music or for whatever the event is, and you feel good, and everybody looks like they're having fun. Versus like, say you've been on a long deployment and everyone's got a shitty attitude, and it gets to the point where it's very hard to right that ship in the moment. Like you almost need to get everybody out of that, because
Yeah,
you can't turn 30 people around in a place that in a bad environment. So that's why it's super important to check negativity as soon as it creeps in, because once that like runs wild, and people always say, it's like cancer, or fear is like a cancer too. That's another thing.
yeah.
When somebody starts running down the hallway screaming, the building's on fire, and everybody's running in different directions. Turns out the building's not on fire, but everybody bought into the fear. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That
it it really is a virus, and when you engage with, and I'm kind of sticking on the content side right now, but when you engage with content that has sadness or anger or joy, you unconsciously mimic those emotions, and you end up feeling like that. And that's how I kind of felt hopeless after watching a freaking TV show, which was weird.
right.
And I don't know why it dawned on me. It just clicked for me. And there's real research that I'm not just making this shit up. There's real research done in 1994. These guys did this study that emotional contagion shows that exposure to certain emotions can induce similar feelings, highlighting the powerful impact of the things that you consume or the people you're around. So there's a bunch of studies. I'll link to some in the show notes if you want to go nerd out on psychological studies and emotional contagion. But it's a real thing, and I think it's important to guard yourself. And I think right now in 2024, especially with social media. So
Because
I
they're
think
playing you on purpose, right?
yeah, they're playing you on purpose.
The
It's
algorithm gets you. If they know
yeah,
you're a 48-year-old white male, chances are, if they feed you a line about how terrible Kamala is,
yeah. You're
then
you're you're gonna you're gonna be all over it, or
yeah,
or
vice versa for Trump. You know what I mean? You're going to click
yeah,
it, and it's going to know that it got you, and you click it again, and then boom, your feed. Even if you had nothing but cats and clay modeling with Patrick Swayze,
yeah.
it's going to be filled with some political ad.
So I think in social media where it really comes together, and I see this even in my kids, is FOMO, the fear of missing out, and I think it's really exacerbated on things like LinkedIn, or not LinkedIn, actually, yeah, on LinkedIn.
Well, you see people
Uh,
doing really well with business, and I think TJ brought it up, right? So he's watching all these other people that he came up through, and they're doing what he perceives is better than them, right? So professionally, I think there's a whole bunch of FOMO on LinkedIn.
Yeah, and that social comparison is it's actually a theory that suggests people determine their own social and personal worth based off how they stack up against others. I mean, that's always been the case. We've
Right.
always, when you were in elementary school, if you didn't get good grades, or you weren't good at basketball, there was like this social pecking order that was based on achieving things.
Right.
And now on social media, it's just blasted out on steroids for everybody to see, but there's no there's no real fact checkers of social media that, you know,
In the old FOMO, you used to have to show up to get it,
yeah,
right? There
yeah.
used to be a
Or you
face to
didn't get picked. Like if you were last picked on
right, but you were there. You were still
kickball.
at the on the line at kickball trying to get picked versus now you can be anywhere else.
Yeah.
And you don't even have to
Yeah.
engage these things realistically. Like, oh, I'll never climb Everest.
Well, it's like the people that take pictures of their dinner and post it on social media. For just side thing, why the fuck do you do that? Like, I
Snacks, dude. I'm
don't.
always hungry.
Do you take pictures of your food and post it?
Not like religious,
Like,
maybe like 2 or 3 times if I was doing, but not like, hey, this is my meal today.
I would understand if it's your anniversary dinner and you went full tilt and you
Melting pot.
paid a lot, melting pot, $400 fucking dollars. Which, by the way, don't ever go to the melting pot. It's
Sponsored by the melting pot.
Sponsored by the melting pot, where we're gonna fuck you over and take all your money for fucking cheese and chocolate.
Sorry.
So you what were we talking about? But you see these yeah. So if you have a really nice dinner that you go out on your anniversary or some special event, the post is about the special event, not
Right.
about the food.
Right.
But some people just take a picture of their food of like, hey, look at me, I'm a foodie. Like, and the food looks good
At Applebee's.
but it might taste like shit. Like you don't.
Right.
The point is, you don't know on social media. You don't know. So, but I kind of look at that picture and in my head, I'm like, man, I'm fucking eating chicken nuggies over here, and this dude's eating this gourmet stuff. When the reality is, my chicken nuggets might be on point and be way better than a little 4-ounce filet mignon that might be overcooked or whatever. The point is, you just don't know.
Well, and that can play into not shaming people, but people who are chasing a fitness goal, right? Or you follow any of those fitness influencers or whatever, they're always posting what they're eating, but it's like, oh no, today I had X, Y, and Z for snacks. And then you got the opposite, and usually it's pretty healthy and clean, and then you feel like shit for eating your bag of chips. But on the opposite side of that, you got air quotes fitness influencers like, oh, I just smashed this whole pizza and 2 cheeseburgers today. Look at my 6-pack. I'm like, that dude's a fucking liar.
Yeah, yeah. Like, what was that guy? The Liver King turned out to be a fraud. That he was.
No way. Big surprise there.
But it
why you
just
so
tells
red?
You, yeah, it tells you. It kind of shows you how easily duped we are, and social media platforms are designed to trigger dopamine releases in the brain. The chemical response for pleasure and reward. That's why everybody listens to this. And if you don't do this, you're full of shit. You're scrolling on social media of your choice. You keep going till you get another hit. And then you keep going again. And it's
Right.
like that endless scroll because you want a little bit more. You're just one step away from crack, my friend. Like your heroin. Today it's Instagram. Tomorrow it's heroin.
And
I'm just kidding, but you know what I mean, right? Like,
yeah, because sometimes I open my phone to do it. Like, our phone is tied to everything, whether it's work, pleasure, or personal life stuff. You got to go into your phone to get to any of those tasks, whether I'm like logging my hours for work or I'm trying to send an email to somebody or make a phone call or pay a bill, right? It's all on my phone.
yeah. Yeah.
And I get sidetracked. Like I'll be swiping through the apps trying to find, whatever the one is to pay the dude to cut my hair, right? And then my brain just like clicks on Instagram. And then for a second, I'm like, what the fuck? I didn't come here for this. But it like snagged my attention for a split second and my thumb just hits it.
Because that you get the little one or the little notification on the icon. That's all by design.
Yeah,
think about this. You guys know, Pavlov's dog or the Pavlovian response where they would feed the dog and then ring the bell. And then every time the dog ate, they would ring a bell. I might be screwing this up because I remember this from like 5th grade or something. But
feel free to correct us.
Yeah. But eventually they would not give the dog food, but still ring the bell. And then the dog would start salivating because he thought he was going to get food. Why do you think the noise for when you get a text or a notification is a bell or like a chirp or anything? Because you get that chirp and what do you want to do? It doesn't, if you're in a conversation, you're in an engaged conversation with somebody and you get that ding, ding, and somebody's texting you, your hand is reaching in your pocket, and at least for me, I'm like, no, don't put your phone out. Don't do it. You don't want to do it. That's rude. Don't do it. You're like, but I can't resist. I just need to see who this is right now. It could be something really important. It's never really important.
Yeah.
It's and think about this for all the iPhone users. When you get a text that's not blue, what's your reaction? Like, somewhere in the back of your head, you're disgusted. You're like,
Poor people with their Androids.
Who does green text? Because I mean, I really find myself doing that. I'm like, fuck, green text guy.
Associate with this loser.
Yeah, like, oh my God. But that was on purpose. Apple did a whole thing where they went through colors and realized that, hey, this color versus that color. And that's why if we were all green, nobody would notice. Nobody would even know. But Apple was like, you want to fuck on me? And they came up with the blue. And when you get a green text, am I the only one that does that? Do you get a green text and you're like, fuck this guy?
Well, I've never been, this might be my first iPhone, right? So I was always a green text guy, and I had no idea that there was other colored text. And so I was like, why is, like, if you're in a group one, I'm like, why are some of these guys green? I'm like, oh, I had no idea, you bougie ass fucks.
I had a Samsung Galaxy S5 or 10. It doesn't matter. It was one of the early ones. It was an awesome phone, and it had a thing you could put a little micro SD card in there.
Yeah.
And I had like a 128 gig card or 256, and I could just I loaded up with movies. Then I could pull the card out, load it up for movies from the movie server. Then on the C17, watch a bunch of movies en route, and then it was great. And then on my iPhone, I can't do that. There's, truth be told, functionality wise, Android I think is a better phone. But
let us know.
But I would never go back from an iPhone to an Android just because I can't stand the blue. And I know I can't stand the green, man. Get out of me with your and that little icon on Android, the little Android guy. Like, it just seems cartoony.
Stupid little robot.
Grow up, guys.
Come on.
But that's what the whole point is. It's a dopamine loop that the social media platforms leverage to keep you engaged, and it leads you to addiction. You got that screen time. If you have an Apple, if you're not slumming it, you have an Apple, and you can slide all the way to the right and you can see your screen time. I bet Android probably has the same thing.
I'm sure it does.
But you can slide all the way to the right and you can see how much screen time you use. So I would recommend people.
It's kind of gross when you see it.
Yeah, it'll make you think like, I spent 6 hours on that app, doing, and then you don't typically get it's. Now I say that if you're spending 6 hours on Spotify podcasting, you are in the 1% club. Welcome. You are the smartest people on the earth. Don't listen to anybody else. But I really think and there's a bunch of studies on this about social media and dopamine. There was that big Netflix documentary, which was really great. I don't remember the name of it. I don't even know if it's the social. Was it The Social? Did you see that documentary?
No, I didn't see it. I heard a lot about it.
It was really good. I would recommend that people with tweens, or actually like your daughter's age, should watch that documentary.
I think the most frustrating part of all of this social media experiment for me is you don't have a choice in the direction it's going, and you don't have a choice really. I mean, you can completely check out of all of it, right? But the fear of missing out is I can collect up a lot of the dudes I was in the Army with and just hit them in once, and just talk. Right, like we got that. It's a space to do that where there's not a lot of other ways to do that, where you can find people that you're looking for, or if you want to run a business or start a business, you need to have social media because it's a very quick, effective way to communicate what it is you're doing, how you're doing it, and where you're doing it, and why you're doing it. And so it's a good tool. It can be an amazing tool, but it comes at a hefty price, and you don't
Yeah.
really get to choose the direction in which it's heading, and you don't get to choose how much interaction you have to have with this thing on a daily basis.
Yeah, and just for the record, that documentary is called The Social Dilemma. It's really good. Highly recommend. But back to your point, where anything can be a tool or a weapon. You know,
Right.
a shovel can be a tool or a weapon. You know, even a human can be a tool or a weapon.
I know
Like,
plenty of
which
tools.
one do you want to be? I know a lot of tools.
I know
So
a lot of tools.
so I think this is the same with social media, and that's what this episode is about. Is you got to know when to hold them and know when to fold them, and you got to realize that when you're getting put on Front Street, and when you got you got to know enough's enough, and you got to walk away from social media. But I think this is also true because remember, the theme of this is transference of energy, and that was just one media, pun intended. You know, it can be from, you know, I talked with Rick Clower, who was in episode 5. We had this kind of friendly argument a couple years back about horror movies, and you know, people celebrate guys like Stephen King, and what I'm about to say is going to piss a lot of people off, especially people from Maine. But because isn't Stephen King from Maine?
Oh, he sure is.
He's like a super. It's like the only celebrity that came out of Maine, right? Did
Yeah.
anybody else come out of Maine? That battleship that got sunk in
Why are you bringing up old shit,
whatever.
I don't know. I'll have to Google it. Give it the old giggle.
Yeah, but if you read Stephen King's books, there's no doubt he's a brilliant and gifted author. But that dude is like one step away from doing these things. And hear me out here. Yeah, hear me out here is like Rob Zombie wrote. Have you ever seen House of 1,000 Corpses?
Oh yeah.
It is disturbing. Not the beginning part, but when the girl runs out and goes underground and towards the end.
Yeah.
And she's like in that place where it's kind of disturbing. And there's a ton of horror movies out there that you can watch. I'd probably advise you guard yourself and don't watch them. But my point is the people that come up with stuff like Saw and all these kind of horror flicks, the guys that wrote that, to even have those thoughts means on some level they've got to be willing to do that. Or how would they come up with those thoughts? Or maybe my brain just can't process it, because I would never in a million years. Yeah, you were one step away. And I don't mean like literally. I'm just saying, if you can conceive it, people always say, if you can conceive it, you can achieve it. It works for negative stuff too. If you can come up with how to, a convenient way to murder somebody, or the guy that wrote The Human Centipede.
Oh my God.
That dude thought of that. Like, you and I would have
never... And then wanted to see it.
And then wanted to see it. So
he's
he
like,
wrote
a movie
awesome about it.
I want to see humans.
And then he pitched it. Can you imagine when that guy went in to pitch the movie somewhere?
Someone was like, fuck yeah.
I've got an idea for a movie and I want to somebody had that thought, and our dumbasses are like, well, this is fucking entertaining. I'm just going to watch these people murder each other.
And then I call people into the ready room like, hey boys, sit down, because tonight we're going to watch a movie. And then they go home like, hey babe, check out this movie I saw with Tyler. And like, oh, and she's like, you're a horrible human.
Yeah.
Who do you hang out with?
Yeah.
Like,
what is your problem?
Yeah.
But that's my point is, I'm not saying that these people are bad. I'm just saying if you could come up with that, and that energy when Stephen King wrote, I don't know, pick him, Stephen King.
Cujo. Did he do Cujo?
That was the one with the dog, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't think he was a Cujo.
Some of them are like
It.
Or just, like It's a really good one, right? And he has this kind of like a supernatural aspect, like the Langoliers. Have you ever read that one or seen that movie?
I saw the one with the butt aliens though from Dreamcatcher.
So
that was weird.
Wait, is that the one where they eat the world?
I don't remember. I just
That
remember
was the
them shooting
Langoliers,
big
I'm pretty
aliens out
sure.
of their butts.
Oh, that was
With Damian Lewis from Band of Brothers. After
it,
Band of
it was
Brothers came out.
the three guys, and they were in that cabin out in the woods. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Yep.
that movie, that's a pretty good one. That's actually good. I actually enjoyed that movie. But
aliens.
yeah, butt aliens, because they come out of your butt.
Your butt.
Right. Yeah, when the guy's sitting on the toilet and
that's what you're
yeah.
sitting on right now.
Yeah,
listening
what was the name of the movie?
Dreamcatcher, I think.
Dreamcatcher?
Yeah.
Was it? Was that it?
Yeah.
It's the guy that played Dick Winters in Band of Brothers. Yeah,
I said that.
Yeah, I mean, I was just like, I was agreeing with you. It was that guy, the redheaded dude.
I thought you were calling me dumb.
No, but that's my point. Is like that energy when the writer of that script came up with that. There's a negative energy to murdering humans, right?
So snatching a kid into a sewer and dismembering him.
Yeah, so that gets transferred on some level to you watching it, and then that's why you're repulsed. But that doesn't just, you think when you get up and you walk away that you're over and done with it, but in some kind of subconscious realm, I don't know, I'm just making shit up, but I feel like you carry some of that with you to the next conversation or whatever you're doing. So,
or if not, at least a desensitization to those kind of things, right? So if you were, watching Pulp Fiction now, or shit, even watching like Beavis and Butthead now, right? Beavis and Butthead was, you cannot watch this. This is garbage trash TV, right? And it was the most insane thing when it came out. But if you watch it now, you're just kind of like, oh, there's not a lot going on here compared to like today's TV. So there's a desensitization that comes along with it.
And you have to, and not that we should do a podcast on conspiracy theories, because which truth be told, I really enjoyed Beavis and Butthead growing up. Now my kids watch it and they're like, this is stupid. Like, what are you,
I tried to watch Do America and it didn't age well, and I was disappointed to find out that it wasn't good, because I thought it was the best when it came out.
Yeah,
that's a whole other topic.
The Red Hot Chili Peppers did like a lot of the theme songs on
they did. It was cool kids.
But I think that this, and we can really get into this one, is this negative, or this energy transference really happens with who you surround yourself with, and I mean the people that you associate with, and the things that you. I always find that I'm, for lack of a better word, optimized when I am either reading a bunch of books, and by reading I mean listening, because if I read a book, I'll fall asleep in like 5 minutes. I'm out. I don't know. But if I listen to it on my ride to work, I'm in an optimized state, because I'm in a place where I have to do some kind of hard thing, whether that is listening to a book about psychological stuff, or I'm listening to a book. There's a book called Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss. Have you ever read that book?
I started it. I didn't finish it yet.
He's like a FBI negotiator, and there's a lot of techniques, and some of them are really good, but you kind of have to follow with the book. You kind of have to take notes, and you have to go back and listen to, or go back and reread or re-listen to a part to kind of really understand it, or be able to digest it and then apply it. You need to listen. But I found when I'm in that place where I'm listening to something, or I'm doing something where I'm kind of challenging myself, or like you said, where you're playing guitar, or it's something hard. You when you choose the thing, you're always in an optimized state. When you let somebody else choose, because you're either watching a movie or you're listening to trash music, or the biggest one is, I had this thing where I was into talk radio from like 2009 to like 2014.
Like Howard Stern.
I listened to like Rush Limbaugh and the white kind of chubby guy, Glenn Beck. And that I would just get out of the car pissed, like fucking pissed.
That's so crazy.
and then I would be sprung load. Somebody would do something, and it would have nothing to do with what actually transpired, and everything to do with the frustration that I had from listening to that talk radio. And I would just connect. Your brain wants to make patterns, and it wants to connect things. So I would connect, some kid. I was still in the Army at this time, so I go into our personnel place, and some kid would, you know, screw something up, and I would be like, well, God damn it, kids today, you millennials can't even do whatever. So
Yeah.
because I was listening to talk radio, and it was just putting shit in my head that is not real, or maybe there's some truth to it, but it's just over the top because it's playing on you being negative and mad. So the people that you, and so to go back to the people that you surround yourself with, the the people that are in your social circle have a significant impact on your emotional and mental state, for sure.
Absolutely.
And I think we can kind of see that where we work, if when we all get irritated and uppity and complain, it's like a virus. Everybody starts to hate their life. But when you kind of zoom out where we work, it's actually pretty, like we're
We got a pretty
paid
good
well.
gig.
We've got a pretty good gig.
Pretty good
And
gig. There's dumb shit, but there's dumb shit
yeah,
all
there's dumb
across this
shit
world.
everywhere,
But we got it all right.
And that's the kind of thing that you can't see it because you're so clouded by all that negative emotion from some other dude. And so you have to guard who you hang out with. You ever heard that saying, show me your 5 friends and I'll show you your future, or something to that
Yeah,
effect?
I've heard
that?
something of that.
Yeah.
Which I think there's a lot of truth to that. I think there's also different levels of people you surround yourself with. Like there's people I would go to bat for hands down no matter what. But then there's also people I drink a beer with, but I wouldn't really spend a lot of time with. How much value are you putting in? I mean, if you surround yourself with a bunch of fucking losers, it's going to be really hard to make it far. You're gonna have to work harder. But if you surround yourself with a bunch of winners, then it's easy to want to be as good as the people or better than the people around you. And if that's better than like what your output is generally, then it can be a positive thing.
Yeah, that's I think that's definitely a thing with doing hard things, because the people you surround yourself with, I've always heard this, is if you want to be in a room that you're not the smartest guy in, and if you're in a room and you are the smartest guy, you're in the wrong room.
Right.
Because there's no, and the kind of concept behind that is there's no growth that happens when you're the smartest guy. There's those kind of ego dudes that want to be the top of the pile and the smartest guy in the room, but that's not really good for you in the long term. A rising tide floats all boats.
Right.
And so you need to be, or my personal opinion is, surround yourself with people that are motivated, that are positive and ambitious, because they will pull you along, or you'll naturally just go, because you don't want to look like a turd. At the very base level, you don't want to look like a turd.
Right. And I think it's, I'm definitely a product of my environment for sure. So, being a regiment, it was easy to want to push because my friends, like my closest friends, my brothers, whatever, were extremely high achievers. But there was also a constant comparison too that I think became eventually a negative thing. If you had too many days where you missed the mark, it just became like, oh, well, I'm not good enough to be here anymore. And that's just the way it is now. And then you tell yourself that story, and this is maybe not on topic, but I mean, it's taking that energy that was a positive energy and turning it into something negative and flipping it around. So if you're around a bunch of high achievers, there still needs to be some kind of, at least for me, dude, I got worn out.
Yeah. I mean, it's exhausting, and you have to give yourself, you've got to give yourself some grace.
Yeah.
Meaning, it's okay to screw up, and you have to give yourself physical breaks too, where you have days where you just don't, I'm just not doing anything today. I'm not going to,
and be okay with that.
Yeah. And just be okay with being okay. And there's actually a real study in 1951 that, and I think everybody knows this, but individuals tend to conform to the behaviors and attitudes of their social group, which can either be beneficial or obviously detrimental depending on the nature of the group. So if you're in a gang, a street gang, you're going to end up doing street gang shit. I went to school with a guy, and have you ever heard of the Latin Kings?
Yeah, of course I have.
Yeah, they're like a gang, right?
Yeah.
And this guy was from Milwaukee, and he moved to my town in Wilmington, North Carolina. And I remember he came in ninth grade, and I remember seeing him, and he was completely out of place for how we dressed in our school. I grew up in a beach town. Everybody wore, Billabong and O'Neill and Quicksilver t-shirts and, surf clothes and skateboard stuff. If you were either a surfer, a skater, or a poser, that was your choices. Or you could be a jock, but even jocks still wore, and they kind of conformed to that. And I remember Brad showing up, and he had a purple, like a bright grimace purple trench coat on. This was in the early 90s, where what was that color? You could they would change color with the heat of your did you ever see those t-shirts called whatever it was called, like color swatch? Or
no, I don't know.
If you got hot, the t-shirt would change colors.
No, I've never seen one of those.
And hypercolor, I think is what it was called. Anyways, the really bright, vibrant colors were in style back then in urban city centers like New York City, Chicago. And anyways, he showed up, and he just looked like he came out of inner city somewhere. And I remember talking to him like, "Hey man, he was obviously not from Wilmington, North Carolina." And I was like, "Hey, what's the deal? Where are you from?" And he's like, "I left Milwaukee. I was in a really bad neighborhood, and the Latin Kings they were trying to recruit me into the gang." He told me this whole story about how he was either in a gang or they were trying to get him in the gang, and it was just him and his dad, and his dad moved him to North Carolina. And the funny thing is he left that environment and then he had a great career at the school, played football, did really well, did a lot of sports, went on to, he still lives in town, and has a whole business, and he is doing really great in what he's doing. But he was a product of his environment and surrounded by negative people. His dad saw the need to get him out, and so he moved to our town. Not that our town was great, it's just we didn't have a gang problem.
It was an improvement.
We were. Yeah, it was an improvement. So it's definitely a thing. And I think, kind of to take it back a little bit further, is we've known about this, that the things that you put in your head via your through your eyes or through your ears, or the things you eat, will have an effect on you. And it's been known for thousands of years. There's Bible verses, there's Hindu teachings, there's all kinds of Buddhists are really big in it. And for the record, I am not skilled in Buddhism or Hinduism, so I'm probably going to butcher some of these concepts, but this is like my very rudimentary understanding of it. So I'm sure you've heard of karma, right? Everybody's heard of karma, right?
Yeah, good karma and bad karma.
Yeah, and I'm really familiar with Karma Chameleon.
Oh, yeah. Karma Chameleon, I believe is what it is.
Yeah. What is it? Red, gold, and green? Is that what it is? They come and go. Lovin' would be easy. I don't remember the rest. Boy George.
Yeah. God, he's beautiful.
Which is crazy to think that Boy George was way ahead of his time, man. Like he would have fit right in 2024. But in 1984,
Not
The
such a good
dude
time.
was a trendsetter. He was out there, man.
Yeah,
Uh,
if you can plow through that period of time just like that, then he would have.
yeah, like that dude
Yeah,
was like iron plated, man. Like
yeah.
to
I bet he had to take some shit
yeah, some total shit. Like that
from
dude,
some douchebags.
yeah, he was probably getting rocked, like right in the like punched right in the face on the regular in some of these towns. But that law of karma, it's a Buddhist concept, and for the uninitiated, it's the law of moral causation. So every action has a consequence that affects one future. So a negative consumption or associates can create negative karma, and just like positive things can create positive karma, leading to well-being. And it kind of ties in with this transference of energy, right? So we maybe in another show, and I don't really understand this well, but the Buddhists believe that karma follows you through multiple lives. I I don't really I really am interested in that kind of stuff. I'm not smart enough to talk about it with any type of
Especially if you keep telling yourself that.
exactly, which is I guess on some level but the thing that really kind of hit with me, I read a book called um God, what's the name of that book?
Clifford the Big Red Dog.
Yeah, it's Clifford the Big Red Dog.
The
And
Berenstain Bears.
is you know the whole not butterfly effect, Mandela effect,
Yeah,
where
where like you think something happened,
because what
like
did you just call
Sinbad.
it? You just called it what?
Clifford the Big Red Dog.
No, but after that, what did you call it?
See,
The
my brain
Bears,
does.
the what? What
The
was it? The
Berenstain
what?
Bears. Yeah,
The
that's one too.
Berenstein Bears, right? I
Yeah,
always remember it being the Berenstein
but it's
Bears,
the
but it's
Bernsteins.
Berenstain.
Berenstain.
Yeah, I
What?
thought they were like
The
they were
Bernsteins.
the Berenstein Bears, you
It was
know?
in cursive though, right? I'm not much of an intellectual, so I
Yeah,
can't really read cursive.
it was definitely Steen.
Yeah.
Uh, um, 100%. We're living in a simulation,
The
which
next one.
is a really good. But the book I read is called The Untethered Soul. It's by Michael Singer, and it's kind of a heavy read. But if you're interested in why you are the way you are, you should read that book. So in that book, the first time I'd ever heard of this, it's called Samskara. It's like a Hindu word for impressions, I think. I don't really know, but it refers to the mental impression and the psychological imprints formed by experiences, thoughts, and actions. Well, on some level, you're like, yeah, no shit. Like, of course, everything that we think, experience, and actions we take is going to stay with us. So, but those impressions that are left influence our current and future behaviors and mental states. So the negative content or toxic relationships create negative samskaras, and then leading to mental and spiritual unrest, while positive influences can help create positive samskaras, contributing to spiritual growth and mental peace. So kind of like karma.
Right. Garbage in is garbage
Yeah,
out.
yeah,
Right.
exactly.
And I think
Exactly.
like to that, when we're talking about what you surround yourself with, another thing that you surround yourself with that nobody really gives it credit for or too much credit is your own thoughts and what your
Yeah.
own dialogue is about yourself. Right. And I realized more recently that my inner dialogue is fucking trash. And that a lot of it, I believe, comes from certain events and things throughout my childhood. And so if you were shown that you as a child aren't worth much, and then you take that on and you start believing it, it's easy to believe it as a kid because you don't know any better. You're like, oh, okay, well, if I'm not getting X, Y, and Z, and these other people are getting X, Y, and Z, then obviously I'm not good enough to get it, right? And so you start being like, oh, I didn't get that because I'm not good enough, or we don't get the support that other people are getting because we're not good enough. You know, we're the family over here. And so you build that up as a kid and you tell yourself that as a kid and you don't know it. You know, you don't consciously do it because of that. It just becomes a part of who you are. And then, you know,
Yeah.
fast forward, you're 40 years old and you're still telling yourself the same shit.
Well, sometimes you do it openly, and you probably heard me call you out, like, dude, don't talk to yourself that way, because that self-deprecate, and we all do this. I do
Right.
this because, you know, it's the act of belittling or undervaluing or being excessively
And
modest.
really what I'm trying to do is take away your ability to call me that.
Yeah, yeah. You just get into the punchline before anybody else can get to it,
Yeah.
and it's a super effective tactic to use on the playground, or
Right.
it's or in the military where truth be told, it's a bunch of dudes out there. It goes primal. And
Yeah.
there's always one, on all the units I've been in, this is rabbit hole moment, but in all the units I've been in, there's always the same guys. There's always the same cast of characters.
Oh yeah,
It
absolutely.
doesn't matter.
Any school, any unit.
Yeah. It's always like, okay, that dude's the funny guy. That dude's a smart ass. That dude, it's like when God made humans, he's like, okay, like I got like 6 molds. So,
Yeah.
okay, fuck it. We're just going to use these 6.
Right.
And so, there's always that one guy that picks on everybody else. And at first he's really funny, and usually he's pretty witty and he has a good sense of humor. But then after a while you're like, okay, man, you might have probably taken it too far. Like, let's do the work here. And the problem with that kind of self-deprecating self-talk is your brain is so advanced that your brain can tell your mouth to say, I'm such a dumbass. And then your brain believes what your brain told your mouth to say, even though your thought was you didn't believe it, but your thoughts kind of become your reality. It's like this weird feedback loop of,
well, then when you say it, it becomes fact.
Yeah, then it becomes fact, but your brain can't tell the difference that you were saying it for effect. It just hears that you're a dumbass.
And it's like, yeah, you fucking idiot.
Yeah, because how many times?
Obviously.
How many times have you did something and in your head like, you fucking retard, like
every breath I take.
Yeah, and that is super unhealthy, and we're all guilty of it. But nobody would I can't talk, but if your daughter came to you and she screwed something up and you heard her say something like that, what would you say? Would you accept her talking to herself like that, or would it be acceptable that a friend? Would you ever talk to a friend like that with a serious thing? Like, I'm not saying like, yeah, you dumbass. Like, why did you? I'm not talking like that.
Yeah.
I'm like you would never talk to somebody you cared about like that. So arguably, if you care, the number one person you should care about is you, because if you're not here, you can't care about anybody else. So you got a priority number one is you.
And if you don't take care of yourself, you can't really take care of anybody else.
Yeah, that's better than that sounds better.
And I'm a firm believer that this is going to sound super lame, but if you don't love yourself, right, to a certain extent, or to as much as humanly possible, which I struggle with, but how can you really pass that out to anybody else? If you're not capable of giving yourself an attaboy, you can't really give anybody else the correct attaboy.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of truth to that.
For sure. So, yeah. So, I mean, and on that point, in some of the Hindu teachings, I'm going to butcher this, but it's the
as long as it's a cow.
It's yeah. JK guys, JK. What is it? Gosh, how do you say this? Bhagavad Gita.
Bhagavad Gita. You nailed it.
Is that how you say it? Is that how you say it?
That's it.
It's I guess it's chapter 6, verse 5. I'm not super read into this, but one must elevate, not degrade oneself by one's own mind. The mind is a friend. About. Yeah. And so like, that's the whole point, is like, these dudes have known about this shit for thousands of years. We're just the dumbasses that are reinventing the wheel now.
And I don't have any specific,
which is also self-deprecating.
Yeah.
See, like,
it's your friends. It's the company you keep, Dad.
Yeah.
But another thing, and just a thought, is when I was reading, because I read some Stoic philosophy, and what they're talking about 2,000 years ago, and again, this all falls in the same category, is just like they're talking about the same shit. Like the same things were happening, in a different capacity and in a different form, but the same shit was happening to these dudes thousands of years ago. and they're thinking the same exact thoughts essentially that we're thinking now. It's like, well, I can't control any of this, so how much should I care about something I can't control? But it's
Yeah.
crazy.
I mean, it's this stuff has been around for years. I mean, here's another another Buddhist teaching, the Dhammapada. It's
I can't help
chapter 1, verse 1 and 2. All that we are is the result of what we have thought. It is founded on our thoughts. It is made up of our thoughts. If a man speaks or acts with an evil thought, pain follows him as the wheel follows the foot of the ox that draws the carriage. If a man speaks or acts with pure thought, happiness follows him like a shadow that never leaves him. So basically, this is basically saying what we're saying is, it emphasizes the power of thoughts and intentions that shape our reality. And this is not for this podcast, but I would like to do a podcast on the nature of reality, because I think the Buddhists and the Hindus probably, and to an extent Christians and Muslims and Jews understand this, that the reality that we are might not be the actual reality. We might not be in base reality, if that makes sense. But and I can explain that in a different podcast, because we're going down some crazy rabbit holes. But even in the Christian tradition, Proverbs 4:23, above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. And it's really talking about the importance of protecting your inner self, your thoughts, your emotions, and your values, because they influence every aspect of your life. And then Matthew 6:22 and 23, the eye is the lamp of the body. If your eyes are healthy, your whole body will be full of light. But if your eyes are unhealthy, your whole body will be full of darkness. And it's really talking about the things that you choose to focus on. There's probably a dual meaning there, that the
Sure.
things that you choose to focus on and the things you physically see, so I think there's a lot. This is not a new concept. The Stoics, I'm sure, like you said, Marcus Aurelius has probably got something written on this. We could call Ryan Holiday and ask him what
Come
he
on
thinks.
the show, Ryan.
Yeah. And then, but the Hindus, the Buddhists, and Christian and Judaism, it's been known, Proverbs, Old Testament, Matthew, New Testament. So these are old concepts. We didn't invent any of this stuff. It's been around, and I think that's a good way to kind of tie it all this into the things that you consume end up consuming you. So, just as we eat good food and it nourishes your body, if you eat junk food, you're going to turn into a fat body. But I do love those little powdered donuts.
Dude.
Those little circle powdered donuts. I can eat a whole bag, for
Dorito.
breakfast.
Man, I'm a junk. I hate it. I'm a junk food fanatic. But Dorito came out with these little, I don't know what you'd call them, like little sticks. Dorito sticks.
Is that the one you gave me the other day?
Oh, maybe.
It was like the yellow bag.
Yeah, when you came over.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Those are the ones. They were so good that I had to force feed them to you in my house.
Yeah.
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 I don't even want to talk about it.
You held me down, and
I did.
It got weird.
It was weird. He got Dorito boarded.
Yeah.
Enhanced snacking techniques.
I bet you could, if you wanted to what do they call that when you torture somebody? Yeah.
Yeah. Enhanced interrogation techniques.
I bet you could. I bet you could turn. I always said if we were going to go to war with North Korea, is we wouldn't have to do anything. Just let them come across the border to South Korea, and when they see like Church's
Popeyes.
Chicken and Popeyes,
I like how we both went to fried chicken. Yeah.
And they're going to be like, this is bullshit, throw down their guns and just get a big gulp, like a 32-ounce Pepsi.
Like, you mean I can eat this whenever I want to?
Yeah, for 79 cents. Fuck yeah.
Oh
And
my
then,
God. Well, not in today's economy, but I hear what you're saying.
it's probably $7. Dude, I went to a Mexican place Friday and we got fajitas and 2 Cokes. The Cokes were $4 each.
No free refills.
And they're free refills at that place. But and then we got a thing of queso, and the little bowl of queso was $9.
Yeah,
$9.
gross. Katie got a margarita the other night at a Mexican restaurant, and there's no prices on the menu, obviously, because no sane person would just get a fucking $18 normal frozen margarita. And it wasn't until we got the check.
$18?
18 for a frozen margarita. You know what I mean? Like, there's no top shelf.
You weren't in like Orlando at a theme park or anything?
No, I was here. It was like, oh, cool. Yeah. Thank you. Anyway.
So
sorry. Margarita.
No, I mean, look, this is the thing is, you have to guard yourself. Your watchword or the things that you need to be on guard about is everything that just like you guard your kids. If you have little kids, you don't sit your 3-year-old down and let them watch Walking Dead. And if you're listening to this and you let your 3-year-old watch The Walking Dead, please email us because
we want to talk.
You need some help with being a parent. Like, that show would not be appropriate for a 3-year-old. But my point to all this is you have to guard that like you guard a kid and guard your brain. And we're all guilty of this. I'm super guilty of doom scrolling. I like to complain. It's a really fun pastime, but it doesn't actually serve anybody well. Maybe if you want to vent, that's one thing, but when you start really going, and I am super duper guilty of this. I'm complainer number one. Usually I have a solution to it, which is get rid of the person that has wronged me, or teach them, or, you got to shoot a hostage. That's my thing. Because when you have a person that's not pulling their weight and you publicly, I'm not saying belittle them, but show them that it's not okay, everybody else will start getting to work. Anyways, that's a whole I've got a whole thing of rabbit holes on this episode.
Hell yeah.
But again, just to kind of tie it back together, the effects of consuming anger driven political content, horror movies, or negative media, they affect your emotional and psychological state. Engaging with media that perpetuates fear and anger or negativity can reinforce those emotions subconsciously, and that leads to heightened stress, anxiety, and even aggression in some states. On the other hand, consuming positive, uplifting content, whether it's inspirational stories, educational material, or spiritual, enriching content, can lead to feelings of peace, motivation, and well-being. And I'm not saying that you always have to be this perfect person, but if you're constantly, if you're watching horror movies and listening to Cannibal Corpse and what's like the modern equivalent of is Cannibal Corpse still around?
Yeah, they're still around.
Are they still?
Cattle Decapitation.
Is that a band?
Yeah, from the same era too.
Oh, okay. I never could
Slaughter to Prevail would be a newer one.
Yeah, like if the title of your band sounds like that, there's
I Killed the Prom Queen.
Yeah, like that's great murder, bands. Bro. Like, yeah, like
unless it was self-defense, because we never right. That's all speculation.
Yeah, we allegedly
I killed the prom queen.
Yeah, that would be a better name. Allegedly, I killed the prom queen. That's what we should make a band called. Allegedly, I killed the prom queen.
They're great. They're from Australia. Check them out.
All right.
Suicide Silence. I can go all day.
Yeah. See, and again, like I like metal. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying don't listen to metal. I'm just saying maybe don't listen to that and then go into like a really important meeting where you don't want to be aggressive to, you know. And there was a study. Have you heard about that study they did that rock music or metal in general makes you a better defensive driver? Have you heard of this?
And a better human, I think, is another one that I
Yeah,
heard. It
I
just
think so
makes you a better
too.
person all the way around.
Yeah,
So if you
but
don't listen to metal, put it in your diet.
we should have a show on curated metal for the uninformed, because
I got
there's different genres of metal too.
we could break down the lyrics. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
yeah,
Thad could even sing some of them to you.
yeah.
I think that'd be great.
Not really great at that. But again, those things, whatever you're consuming, is gonna drive. Do you want to let somebody else drive, or do you want to drive? And it's the same thing with social circles. Maybe surround yourself with upwardly mobile people. You want to hang out with motivate. And when I say motivated people, you also got to hang out with people that actually do shit. It's
More
different if you hang out
importantly
with
than motivated people.
like the action. The action has to happen. There's a saying, and I wrote it down on my phone, and I don't know if I still have it here. I'm doing this in real time. I'm looking up what I wrote. Oh, you know what? I text myself it. Can you look your own text up if you text yourself something?
I don't know, probably. Who did you text it to?
I texted to myself.
Oh my God.
How do you do that?
Science. You broke the internet.
I always text myself stuff, but then I don't know how to look it up that I text myself.
I always text it to Katie, and she's like, "What?" And I was like, "Oh, that's for me."
Yeah, dude, my wife does that. I fucking hate you guys because there's no context to it. So I'll get this rando ass text from her, and I don't know what it's about. And I'm like, what? And I'll hit the little, again, another thing you can do on Apple. I can put a little question mark tag to the actual text because it's fucking blue.
Yeah.
But if it was green, I can't do that. I have to slum it and actually write a question mark type down there, which is
the audacity of some of these people.
That's a bridge too far.
It is.
Like
Nijmegen, if you will.
Yeah, unsat. All right, let me see if I can find this quote. Okay. Oh man, I text my stuff a lot. I text my stuff a lot of things.
And this is the first time you've ever seen any of it.
Yeah, and I'm always like, ooh, I need to go back and look at that. Oh, here it is. Mood follows action.
Oh, absolutely. And Rich Roll says that all the time.
Yeah, that's where I got it from, Rich Roll.
Yeah. And he's like, when I find myself, sorry to get off on this one, when I find myself in like a super negative space, I tend to turn on his podcasts. Because it's a bunch of people I wouldn't generally associate with that he has on there. So it's always a different point of view than my own point of view or anybody I hang out with point of view. And by and large, it's almost all extremely positive stuff. And so the mood follows action thing from him that's one of those things I kind of remind myself, like, hey, if I've been in a slump for a long period of time, like mood follows action. Nothing changes if nothing changes. I say that all the time.
Yep.
And so it's like,
we should make a t-shirt off of that.
We should.
Nothing changes if nothing changes.
And that coffee mug we were talking about earlier.
Yeah. We're definitely doing that. 100%. We're also going to go to jail for selling coffee mugs.
Yeah.
That maybe we're not going to say that on this podcast, but
say it on mine.
But we could sell it as just kind of a
Patreon.
Yeah, just like, hey, fuck off, man. Like, this is just real. We're just real.
Yeah, I don't care about what people think. Mood follows action.
But mood follows action. That's a real thing. So if you just execute, and that's what I'm saying, surround yourself with people who execute, not people that talk, because there's a time for talking and planning and getting it done. But sometimes there's just time to execute. And
you figure it out as you go.
Yeah. you know, what's that guy Richard Branson's say something to the effect of n- you know, never pass on an opportunity that you're not qualified for, or something to that,
Right.
like basically like if somebody gives you an opportunity and you're not qualified, like figure it out. And so
Right.
I just think I think it's very important to surround yourself with people who are gonna that are gonna a lift you up and and
Celebrate your
pull
wins.
and celebrate your wins and not get butthurt if uh if you have a win and I don't. You know, that's not what it's about. Um, and then and stay away from negative influences. The people spending time with individuals that are constantly complaining or pessimistic or toxic can drag you down. You know, they sap your energy, they perpetuate that negative mindset and make it really hard to stay motivated and optimistic. And eventually, that negativity can taint your perspective, leading to frustration and dissatisfaction. And you can even get depressed on that. I mean, that's happened to me where I just, you know, start circling the drain just because I was, and I probably was the ringleader of the negative talking, and it gets ratcheted up. And
Right.
next thing you know, you can't get out of bed because of some shit that you just made up that
Well,
wasn't
also,
even a real thing.
and to that, don't be afraid to write people off. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a big fan of lending a hand, and if somebody is going through a hard time, and being patient with them. But
Yeah.
also, I don't have time or the ability in my life to put up with somebody else's like narcissistic bullshit. So don't be afraid if you notice that, like, hey, this person's always dragging me down. I'm tired of, you know, them talking shit to me or about whatever. I can't listen to their negativity anymore. Like, that's a pretty big sign that regardless of who they are, your mom, your brother, your boyfriend, your husband, or whoever, you know what I mean? If they're always that kind of person in your life, write them off. It's over. Like, you
Yeah.
can't afford this. Life is super short. You don't have enough time to deal with that shit.
I can't. I like to use it in terms of bandwidth. Is I got so
Yeah.
much emotional bandwidth, and people number one is my immediate family get the best. Then the outsides of that, the reality is I would like to say my family gets the rest of that. That's not always true because usually family is the source of a lot of issues. I mean, and that's the thing. Like everybody that says that they have this great family, I also call bullshit. Every family has some type of crazy town, and the reality is it's probably not crazy town. That's probably just real. That's real
Right.
life. Is every family has issues. Every family has something going on. Everybody has. It's just how it is. That's the real world we live in. So I think for people listening to this is you've got to figure out how to set boundaries, and that, like what Tyler was saying with people, is set boundaries with people. It's okay to say no. Um,
It's probably better to say no.
yeah, it's probably better to say no. I'm for years I've had a really hard time saying no to things. I'm learning to say no a lot more. Set boundaries with your social media use. Set boundaries and surround yourself with positive people. Be mindful of the emotional impact that the media and relationships that you engage with. And then you have the power to choose what you can consume, and those choices have a significant impact on your overall well-being. So choose wisely, treat yourself like you were telling, if you're going to tell your 8-year-old self, you know, hey man, don't hang out with those kids, that advice still holds true as an adult. So what else you got anything, any closing things you think we should talk about in this on this episode?
No, I think we covered a lot of ground, but I think everything that you surround yourself, from what you're putting into your body, what you're putting into your mind, and what, you know, how you talk to yourself. And it probably starts with how you talk to yourself and what your inner monologue is, because I think that also sets the stage for how you let people treat you, right?
Yeah.
So if you don't treat yourself very well, then you probably allow some people to mistreat you, and that kind of, you know, probably spins out of control and feeds the other
Yeah.
one, and then it's just like the self-licking ice cream cone. Is that what they call it?
Yeah.
I've never seen one before.
Yeah, I like that analogy because it really makes sense. It also describes the overwhelming majority of the U.S. government is a self-licking ice cream cone. JK government.
Yeah, love
Uh,
you.
but
Thanks.
yeah, I think you're right. So I think um, apply the wisdom that you can glean from psychology, spirituality. You know, if you if you feel so inclined, and you need some Jesus, go get you some Jesus. It'll help you. If you're a Buddhist, go get you some Buddha. If you're a Hindu, go uh, do those things. But whatever it takes for you to get your spiritual fix, I recommend you do that. So we can protect our mental health and cultivate a more positive, peaceful, and fulfilling life by kind of using these these tenets, I guess you would say. So the power to shape our emotional and mental landscape is well within our control, and we got to make conscious choices, and we got to be disciplined about it. And growth is hard, and doing, growth requires hard work, but that's in that hard work is where you find, I think, real peace. And for the record, I have not found that inner peace, and I feel like I do moderate to hard work. So I'm still learning this in real time. Um, so
Yeah, it
yeah,
takes time. It takes time. It takes effort. It takes consistency. I think the biggest thing is consistency. And then when you fall off the wagon, um, recognize it and do whatever you can to get back
yeah,
on track.
yeah, and just start. You can always just start tomorrow.
And you're
There's
never going
there's
to achieve the everlasting, I don't think anyway. And I don't know, I don't know if that's me being negative, but I don't think there's an everlasting achievable peace. There's just a willingness to accept what is and stop, maybe that is the everlasting peace, is stop throwing yourself against the wall, stop raging against the machine.
Yeah. Yeah. You've got to learn, there's somewhere in there, you just have to be content with doing the best you can. And I do want to circle back to one thing I said, you can always start again tomorrow. I want to pull that statement back. Is you can always start again right now.
Right.
You don't have to wait till the sun goes down and comes back up again. Just, you can constantly rehack your life. There's no timestamp that you have to hit. If you're trying to diet and you ate a cookie, okay, start again right then. Okay, I'm not, and sometimes that's going to be, when you look at whatever season of life you're dealing, or whatever you're dealing with, is sometimes that's going to be, maybe it's, okay, I'm going to start again, and for the next month, and maybe you can't get to the next month, so it has to be the next week, and maybe you're not at a place where you can do the next week, and maybe you're going to be at the place where you have to do the next day, and maybe you're not well enough to do the next day, so you're going to go down to the next minute, and maybe you're not in a place where you can't live your life to the next minute, so you're going to live to the next second, and eventually you'll plane out and get to a place where you can push that time back. You know what I mean? So it's kind of, Jordan Peterson has a thing about cutting your timelines down.
Yeah.
And so of trying to be better, instead of trying to, and I would recommend somebody go look it up on YouTube. Jordan Peterson, I think it's Reduce Your Timeline or something to that effect. You can find his stuff on YouTube, but he has a thing that talks about shrinking the time. So when you're trying to, this isn't a thing that you're going to fix ever. I don't think you're ever going to fix it. This is just a state that you live in.
You're working on it.
Yeah. And I've kind of gotten this thing like where my whole mission in life, other than purpose, but my mission is to be slightly better than I was yesterday. And
right.
if you can go through being slightly better than the day before, that we're putting W's down in the book. We're moving the chains.
Right.
And for our Australian and UK listeners, moving the chains is an American football saying, because the chain stretches 10 yards and we want to move the ball down the field, and if the chains are moving, that means we're going towards to score. So for the For people
Uninitiated.
that don't, yeah, the uninitiated non-American football listeners, which, truth be told, American football is probably the greatest sport on the planet.
I'm going to agree only to upset the rest of the world's term with football.
Yeah. Soccer. You mean soccer?
Yeah, soccer.
Yeah.
That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah. No, but no, I think that's a great debate, which I love to have because people get so heated about it because American football is ridiculous. I love it. I love American
It's the
football.
WWF of sports. And
Yeah.
by WWF, I don't mean World Wildlife Federation.
Yeah,
I mean like good old American 1990s WWF.
It's ridiculous the amount of rules there are, the crazy, like it. I was trying to explain it one time to somebody. I'm like, and then I realized how absurd American football is, but I still love it. If you grew up with it, it makes complete sense. Everything is righteous and the world is right. But when you take a step back, it's the fucking dumbest. Like, but it is really, it is a spectacle to see a 250-pound dude running at, arguably 27, 25 miles an hour and collide with another dude that weighs 300 pounds that's running close to the same speed and just rip each other apart. Or a guy that throws a football 80 or 90, 80 yards and the dude catches it with one hand and is able to, has is place of mind the right word, or sense of mind, to keep his toes within a half an inch of the line to be complete. Like, these are true athletes that are strategic. It's just such a great game, and I love it, and I highly recommend all the people that just be American and listen and watch American football, and all your problems will go away, and you're going to live a happier life.
And on that note,
yeah, I wish we had that.
You can edit it in.
Yeah, we can put that in. So, anyways, hey man, thanks for spending time with me and talking about this.
Thanks
and
for having me. No, I learned some shit, and I'm gonna look it up. Look up some more stuff. Do some.
I'll put some stuff in the show notes if anybody wants to learn about these things, and we should do a podcast on conspiracy theories and how it probably I mean, shit, it's 2024. There's a lot of conspiracy theories that are fucking true, but
can you put at the end of, or I know, you can't do, can you do things on Spotify, like the little questions now, polls?
Yeah, you can do polls. I can put polls on there.
So I thought they changed something with that. I was going to say, what off-topic subject would somebody like to hear a rant about?
Yeah. No,
put something in there.
I'm all about it. And and shameless plug for the podcast. If you guys enjoy what you're hearing, please go to rate the show on Spotify. You can just go to About, and then you can rate the show in there. You don't have to leave any comments. Rate us truthfully. If you love it, give us a 5. If you hate us, also give us a 5. And
then fuck off.
Yeah, I'm just kidding. If you don't like it, vote how you really feel. Yeah, and then
voting's rigged.
Yeah, it's rigged. So just 5s always. And then if you're an Apple podcaster, which I listened to podcasts on Apple Podcasts for years, and I did switch to Spotify mainly because Joe Rogan. That's the only place you can get Joe Rogan. So. And I enjoy some of the stuff he puts out. Some of the stuff is garbage, but you take the good with the bad. So if you're on Apple Podcasts, please go and rate the show. And if you have time, leave a comment. Good, right, wrong, good, bad, indifferent, doesn't matter. We would prefer positive comments, but if you got something negative, you can always shoot us an email at info@aloneandafraid.org. You can just email us any questions you have, anything that you want to talk about on the show within the scope of what we deal with. We'd love to hear from you. So please rate, follow us on Spotify or wherever you listen to your podcast. And thanks for letting us fill the space between your ears. See you later.
Bye.